Northridge, questions or comments about the death of Manuel Jimenez?
Yes, first of all, my condolences to the family. Our friend Zachary Champagnier was shot and killed by law enforcement in Studio City on June 24th, so we know how it can tear a hole in a community. Our friend was an 18-year-old honor student who was unarmed and in a car and had the misfortune of striking an undercover police officer who was running in the parking lot. But I think the main thing to take away from all these things is that a lot of us are sort of in the same war, same battle, but situated in different foxholes. And, you know, I live in a predominantly white area. The decedent's family is from Westlake, maybe a predominantly Hispanic area.
Mm-hmm.
But we all are looking at the same circumstances here, where we are being victimized by the very people who are entrusted to protect us. So I come away with this with a sense that, you know, as long as we all remain in our individual foxholes, facing a common enemy, if you will, we're facing more of an uphill battle than we need to. If we unite and realize that, you know, it's the same hole that gets torn in our communities when things like this happen, that we find more strength.
Definitely. Thanks for your comment. Maria, how do we all get out of our foxholes? Because let's not, you know, usually, or it's usually people of color who tend to suffer the brunt of police brutality, but it's not always people of color. In Orange County, in fact, there has been incidents with various police departments where we've had Korean immigrants being killed by police from wealthy families. We've had, for lack of a better term, white folks, whether it's working class or wealthy, being killed by police. And always the police departments always have to justify that that they killed them, it was self-defense and the like. All disparate communities, all different areas of Southern California. How do we get out of our foxholes?
I wish I had the answer.
Or what do you suggest, at least?
No, I mean, I think actually, you know, putting it out there, actually talking about it, and not being afraid to demand accountability from the police department. I think a lot of times we do assume that they're right, and so we're like, okay, well, you're right, you almost got hurt, it was self-defense. But I think we need to stop doing that. I think we need to start aligning ourselves more with the community piece and not necessarily align ourselves with the parliament fully. And I think that's what the man was talking about, that a lot of times we're taught, like, these people are supposed to protect us and we're supposed to respect them, but they're fallible, obviously. And so I think just talking about it is one of the most important ways to do that. I mean, I don't know a strategic way necessarily.
Yeah, that is a great point. The police department, you know, in my opinion, I know police officers. I know a lot of them. They do care about the community. They do actually care for the undocumented. They do actually care. They are fallible. They are human beings. But at the same time, there's a notorious thin blue line where there is a culture within the police department to, it's their way and it's always their way, and anybody who doubts it is somehow anti-law enforcement. I do think that's something that we all need to get over or bring it up. Vanetta in Apple Valley, you want to bring up an incident in Seattle.
Some years ago in the Pioneer Square area up in Seattle, there was a man who was wielding a samurai sword, and it was a standoff for hours. It was all day. It was broad daylight. The Seattle police got criticized for their lack of force, but ultimately what took the guy down was fire hoses.
Huh.
But he lived. There was no lethal force. And this was an all-day event. A guy with a freaking samurai sword.
Do you know why he was wielding the samurai sword? Was he mentally disturbed, or what was going on?
Right. Yeah, I think he was a mentally ill individual.
Yeah, I mean, compare that to what happened in Los Angeles. You have a 6-inch knife, and you get killed with, you get murdered basically by the Los Angeles Police Department. What would be your suggestion then, Vanetta, to the LAPD in terms of, comparing those two incidents?
Well, I'd say that the LAPD really could use some training. I mean, obviously they said they're not even trained to deal with people with knives. Heck, go talk to the Seattle police force.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd help them out.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, all-day events, water hose, that's quite a remarkable day, but pepper spray, taser, some other incident that's less lethal than a bullet. Thank you for your call, Vanetta, and bringing that up. Yeah. Jim in Pasadena, questions or comments about the death of Manuel Jimenez?
Yes, I just wanted to call and let you know, I was a reporter. I've covered a number of police shootings, including one where I saw the police actually shoot a guy off of the balcony of a church.
Oh, my God.
And they shot him with an AR-15 semi-automatic in San Francisco at the Glide Church, saying he had a weapon and was waving it, and he had nothing. And I think no matter how much public scrutiny comes to bear, what I've seen is justifiable homicide is the label they put on it, and you can't get the police to admit wrongdoing. So I think there needs to be a commission that actually truly oversees what the police do, and actually comes to bear with criminal charges, like a grand jury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maria, is it? Sorry to interrupt there. Maria, isn't there a commission already in Los Angeles?
There is, but I guess his point is I will reiterate it, like, how much are we actually using it, and why do we still hesitate to really keep accountability?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there is this hesitance. There's always dragging of your feet by police departments, not just LAPD, but all across the country, to have further scrutiny. And then, Jim, in your time reporting on these incidents, did you ever see any police officer ever get convicted of these justifiable homicides?
Never. And in fact, I'll take one step further. The chief at the time up in San Francisco, when we wrote the story, because I witnessed it, I wrote it in the first person.
Mm-hmm.
The police department came after me heavily, not overtly, covertly, sending me emails, calling my family at night, telling my wife he may not come home.
Oh my God!
And we had the police chief actually come to the San Francisco Examiner where I work and actually talk about the incident, and he told us that ballistics said the man had been shot in the church and not outside as it was reported, only to find out a year later from the homicide detectives investigating it that was a lie.
Wow.
And so I will tell you this. My feelings about the police are there are a lot of good ones, but the bad ones get away with it, and it can't happen. It shouldn't happen. There's a lot of guys out there willing to shoot a weapon without thinking about it, and it's wrong.
Absolutely. Thanks for your call, Jim. 818-985-5735, 818-985 KPFK, talking about the death of Manuel Jimenez at the hands of Los Angeles Police Department officials. Maria, what do you think the community is going to do now? There's been protests the past couple of days, numbering into the hundreds. Do you see these going for the foreseeable future in one way or another?
I mean, just even hear what Jim said. I think we can't forget. Like, I think we forget, and I think that's why it continues to happen, because we don't have a full plan of accountability. I know there's like groups who informally, keep or just work on police brutality and kind of keeping the work going. Unfortunately, Trilla, that's not our focus. I just wonder, besides that police commission, like, as a community, we need to respond and say, hey, we're going to actually follow through with this, because that's really what needs to happen. I'm not sure if the public demonstrations are going to continue every night like they have been in this past week, but I think definitely organizing some type of response, march in dignity and respect march to maybe the Rampart Division. I think that needs to happen, but I don't know if there's a set plan, and I don't know how long the community will have the energy to continue to protest. I wish we did, and I wish we could walk all the way and finally get, one police department to reconsider this, self-defense. Can we be more specific? Like, did you really feel threatened by that 3-inch blade?
Definitely. Go ahead, sorry. We don't have a plan as a community, and I'm talking as a community member of the Westlake area. Like I said, I live here. As a community, we don't have a plan, but maybe, that is the question. How do we actually have a plan, long-term plan? Cherry in West Los Angeles, thank you for waiting so patiently. Your questions or comments about the death of Manuel Jimenez. Cherry?
Okay, I saw a 20-year-old guy get killed by the LAPD on August 28th, and he had no weapon at all. The police didn't tell him to freeze, stop, drop, get down on the ground. They didn't tell him anything. They got out of their vehicles. The sirens weren't even on, so you couldn't hear them. No one knew that they were there. If my husband wouldn't have told me, oh, look, the police is here, I wouldn't have even knew that they were there. They just got out of their car and just started shooting without even knowing the situation that was going on, and come to find out that the guy that was trying to get his mother out of the car, that was her boyfriend, and his father was right there with him. So he practically just got killed in front of his mother and father over trying to keep his family together, when this really just broke their whole family apart.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I haven't seen anything about it in the news, in newspapers or anything. I had to do a Google search for a day and find the first thing about it on the Chicago Tribune. And I'm like, why is it on the Chicago Tribune and we're in L.A.? This is right here in my area. And the LAPD, basically, I've heard that their teachers now, their training, their officers, if they feel like any threat is perceived, whether you are armed or not, they are to use deadly force.
Okay, Cherry. I'm sorry I have to cut you off, but we're almost out of time. Then Maria Rodriguez, though, from Churla, final word. You have 30 seconds.
I think this is yet another example to really stand up and say we cannot put up with this. We cannot put up with another death. And so I hope that the community in the West Lake area continues to organize around it. And if and when we have a march, we hope that everybody comes out.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much again, Maria. Again, I was speaking with Maria Rodriguez from Chila Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles. I want to thank her and Churla for all the great topics we've talked about over years. Folks, if you're going to protest tonight, be safe out there. You don't know what's going to happen. And for all of you out there at KPFK, it's been great. I hope I'll be back in a couple of months, hopefully. And above all, go have fun.
You're listening to KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles, 98.7 FM Santa Barbara. You can also find us live on kpfk.org.